Okay, game 2 then on Ohana. Zoom out. So Xanathar as our Zerg in the top left, and MangoHawk, of course, also playing Zerg in the bottom right. So Xanathar took the first game. It was pretty uneventful, the first game, to be honest. Both players a little bit slow to get up and running. But in the end, it was Xanathar that managed to produce enough lings to basically storm his opponent's base, and that was that. It is, however, in this game, MangoHawk that gets the expo down first, but not really much in it, not radical different timings. In both cases, it is hatch first. Like to see that. And Xanathar, yeah, droning up past 16, and that is very unusual behavior. On this worker coming down, you would almost, there goes the webcam. I might just give up on the webcam. This is mega greedy. Like double hatch before pull that is extremely greedy. But there is a good chance he's going to get away with this, because I don't see, unless I've missed something, I don't see a scouting overlord for MangoHawk. No, both, in fact, all three of the overlords are still inside the base. So MangoHawk doesn't know anything about this, and so he isn't going to be in a position to punish this. You know, generally, the triple hatch, once this finishes up, it's actually pretty hard to punish because your opponent has more larvae than you do, generally. But of course, you know, this hatch finishing up so early means that the pool is going to have been lit, speed will be lit, and queens will be lit. So arguably, even if you knew about this right now, strong chance if you hold down the Z button, you could still overpower your opponent. There are some lings in MangoHawk's base, but there's actually more lings on the other side of the map. So you sort of feel like with each second that passes, the chances of being able to do anything about this diminish pretty rapidly. And you'd kind of suggest, especially given the army advantage, for Xanathar, that time has now passed. It's a double expo for MangoHawk, so he's just going to go ahead and skip 3 bases and go straight to 4, which is a pretty bold move. Now that is fine, so long as you're spending the money. You can have a huge mineral income at that point. I think he's going to lose this overlord, and that isn't actually going to supply block him, so that's not going to cause any problems. The overlord did get a bit of a scout, came in, saw that, didn't actually confirm the natural, but look, it did see this creep, so that's enough to tell you that there's definitely a natural expand there. Did not see the edge of the you'd have to be looking really closely to notice that. I don't think I would notice that. Hard to tell. I don't think I would, though. So yeah, he's probably unaware of that base, but now he himself is up to 4 bases, so you kind of assume that your opponent would definitely be on 3. Yeah, this is a substantial number of lings. Army supply, it's not crazy different, and of course MangoHawk is going to have defender's advantage, but unfortunately a lot of his lings have run on past. I don't know about this location to try and hold. It's not terrible, and actually MangoHawk trade in pretty effectively, but there are more lings at home for Xanathar, so I don't know, is he going to press his advantage? Does he know that he's got an advantage? These are tricky questions. The army supply is actually now very, very similar indeed, but the quality of the army is a little bit different. On this side of the map, we've only got lings, whereas over here, we've actually got banelings. So this army will comfortably roll through this one because, you know, 3 banelings in the front will just decimate this, absolutely decimate this. It's, you know, you can fight banelings with lings if you're roughly pro level. If you've got the APM for it and the precision for it, it is possible, but my goodness, it's hard. And even at pro level, it is hard. You're unlikely to trade well. I'm concerned by the production tab in the top left of my screen here. Because, you know, for a reasonable period of time there, MangoHawk just wasn't building anything. However, he does run in here and kill an awful lot of work. Well, back it up. He runs in here and manages to kill quite a lot with this army essentially just standing and watching. I mean, all of these lings run in, kills a queen. There aren't actually that many workers here for reasons unknown. And this stuff, very slow to engage, but MangoHawk, please tell me you didn't just do that. Leaves the hatchery with 17 hit points. Literally all he had to do was, with any number of lings, right click the hatch, but all of the lings leave the hatch alone to try and fight this stuff. And somehow this hatchery survives. That is absolutely disgusting. Almost as disgusting as the fact that Xanathar's queued up 3 queens. You know, because if I'm MangoHawk right now, I'm literally sending 1 roach to just shoot that, kind of hoping for the best that the roach takes the hatchery out before it gets killed. And there's a pretty strong chance it would. Army supply now swings in favor of MangoHawk. And the quality of his army is a little bit higher, arguably, because it's pretty much solidly roach. And those roaches they don't really care about lings. Benlings are inefficient against roaches. Benlings aren't really bad, per se, against anything. You know, because they do splash damage, they're kind of pretty boss. But they don't trade efficiently against roaches. But again, look, this production tab is empty for MangoHawk, and yet look at the sheer amount of minerals stacked up. You know, you've got to spend that. You've just got to spend it. Build stuff. Doesn't really matter. You know, what you build isn't as important as that you build. You have to be building stuff. Those 3 queens did all make it out, but not one of them has as yet bothered to drop a transfuse on the hatchery. So Xanathar is going to come rolling in. The roaches are in a pretty good position here, wedged in beside the hatchery. So they're going to tread pretty effectively. On this choke is actually a pretty good place for these roaches, because they're fighting melee units. And, you know, how many times will I say it? Never fight on a ramp with melee units. Just don't. The mutas, for some reason, are leaving. No, you know, there's nothing here that shoots up. I don't know why you wouldn't just keep the roaches picking off these injured roaches and finishing them off. But he doesn't seem to want to do that. I'm not entirely sure why. There is nothing on this map for MangoHawk that can actually shoot up right now, I don't think. Does he even have any queens? He has 2 queens. There's one right over here. And presumably there's one in the men, is there? Yes, there is. And that's it. That's the only thing that can shoot up. So despite having a significant army advantage, he can't shoot up. However, he's got a lot of roaches. At this moment in time, these mutas will take days to kill those roaches. So if MangoHawk just clicks across the map here, he wins. He wins this game right now. It looks like that is perhaps what he's doing. I don't think there's enough muta to kill this many roaches in time. So what else has Xanathar got? He's got 5 queens. That could hold for a while, but he needs to be building stuff. Otherwise, although I say that, a lot of the roaches were already damaged, so maybe they do actually get picked off. This is gonna be tight. There are now some roaches building for Xanathar, but you know, they're going to drip feed out. There's a reasonable number of mutas there, and if only all the roaches were actually shooting at the hatchery, things would be better. But I have a feeling if MangoHawk just focuses the hatchery, can't he get it? No, apparently he can't. Well, there you go, I stand corrected. Xanathar does manage to hold, having lost a base. I still think it was absolutely the right thing, though, for MangoHawk to do, to just go for it across the map and get involved. Because if nothing else, it pulled all of Xanathar's attention, all of the Mutalisks home. If we look at the units killed on the Workers Kill tab, it's actually remarkably similar. Units, resources or units lost, which tells you the amount of resources lost, like 190 units lost each. The resources, however, much heavier for MangoHawk because a lot of those losses were roaches compared to lings for Xanathar. So, having a look at the upgrades tab, okay, that does go some way to explaining how Xanathar was able to hold. The roaches don't have any upgrades whatsoever. Now, reasonable number of queens here, and that's good to see. There's also some hydras out to see these mutas off. So these mutas just can't fight this. They can't, mutas are great at running in around the back and killing things in a mineral line, but they are pretty squishy. It doesn't take much for a muta to be shot out of the sky. So there's plenty of queens, and there's actually hydralisks in each of the mineral lines. So MangoHawk in good shape in terms of defending and keeping his workers alive, but my goodness, he really doesn't have many workers. And more frighteningly, he has no gas whatsoever. Is he mining gas? One there, one there. So only 2 gas actually mining at the 19-minute mark, when really you should have, I don't know, at the very least 6 or 8. So he really needs to remedy that. He is going to re-expand here. Let's have a look in the production tab. It's still Hydras coming out for MangoHawk, and Hydras are a good choice against the mutas. You've just got to be a little bit careful you don't over Hydra. Hydras are great, but they need a meat shield in front of them. Hydras, a bit like mutas themselves, are pretty squishy. So yes, these Hydras will absolutely obliterate the Mutalist flock. There's no doubt about that, but they will not do that well against roaches, and there are a lot of roaches coming through here. So Hydras just, they can't take a beating, and the roaches are just going to animal them. So in general, when you're going Hydra, you also need to mix in some roaches. You gotta have something to stand in front of your Hydras and be shot in the face so that the Hydras aren't. Now, MangoHawk is actually starving. If you look, no mining happening. Only 8 workers mining, only 7 workers mining. The men is completely mined out. There are some idle workers lying about the place, but really he desperately needs to up his economy. He's got 4 hatcheries here. He can produce pretty well. It's another hatchery coming down, but really you need to saturate the ones you've got. It isn't like you've got a ridiculous surplus of minerals, and you certainly don't have a surplus of gas. This production tab is just too empty for MangoHawk. Meanwhile, on the Xanathar end of things, there's an interesting spread of tech structures. Yeah, we've got the spire, we've got the infestation pit, no Hydrodan, and there is this macro hatch in the men. So, that means he's got 5 hatcheries to produce from. He has got a lot of minerals in the bank. So if we look at the units tab, we can see part of the problem here. Look, there are 15, now 12 idle larvae, 17 idle larvae on the other side of the map. That, this in the units tab, there should just never be idle larvae. There just shouldn't be idle larvae. The only time that should be allowed to happen is when you're at 200 of 200 supply. Then you do build up that idle larva, and you build up your bank so that if you lose your army, you can replace it instantly. The only other time is if you're waiting for a tech switch, you've just dropped the spire and you want to have the larva in supply. You want to have the larva, the supply, and the money to build 12 mutalisks as soon as that spire finishes. Then I'll allow you to have 12 idle larvae. 27 idle larvae on Xanathar's side of the map. 27. What is that about? There's 7 grand in the bank. You can easily turn those all into lings and suicide them across the map and do some damage. Kill a beast, for example. Kill something. Turn them all into banelings and just Shrek. Just attack something, but do turn those larvae into something, please. So neither player active really at the minute. Not really sure what's going on because neither player's really doing much. Now, just as I say that, it looks like we're going to get some action over on the right-hand side here. MangoHawk is amassing a significant number of lings. 68 lings by the looks of things running in here. Here come the Hydras to join the fray as well. So these lings are going to shut that base down. The Hydras are going to take a fight over here. It looks like it's arguably this might have traded a little bit better the other way around. But no matter, the lings are going to run into the main base, and this could be havoc actually. These lings with a little bit of focus could get the hive, and that would be big. So the macro hatch goes down. There are Hydras going to work on this hatchery as well. This is beginning to look reasonably ominous for Xanathar, because if he loses this hive, then a lot of his production is going to be problematic. Oh, you're kidding me. The hive just survives, So a little band of Hydras, these guys are just suicide, surely. They're not going to make it. No, still Hydras streaming in. I mean, if you're going to try and run in for the snipe, don't use expensive hydras. You know, by all means use lings. So that's a really good little counter jab, and Xanathar's got to be reeling from that a bit, but he needs to be active. Xanathar, your opponent's just lost an absolute world of ling hydra. They've got to be hurting following that loss. So why is your stuff at home? It needs to be across the map doing damage. You've got to, you know, this happens a reasonable amount in the EMS tournament. You have players kill their opponent's army and then they don't attack. They just kind of wait at home and give their opponent that breathing space to build another army. So, you know, Xanathar, if you wait long enough, you will be massively behind because you've just lost a couple of bases. You're only mining off this base, which has only got 3 mineral patches. So you basically don't have an income. Now, admittedly, you've got 7k in the bank, but you've got no gas. So the only thing you can really build is lings. Your opponent, 1, 2, okay, kind of mining, 3, 4 bases to mine from. Although your opponent, thing is, arguably Xanathar doesn't know this, but your opponent doesn't actually have any gas income either. So both of these players in desperate need of upping their gas income. Xanathar in desperate need of spending his mineral bank, needs another macro hatch to do that. It looks like the GG elephants are out. These ultras are in full effect. There's no, one of the things about ultras, you have to get the armor upgrade. I mean, you've just got to, I can't remember what it's called. Anyway, it's an armor upgrade. That's what ultras are all about. You've got to get that upgrade from the ultra cavern, and ideally get the speed upgrade as well. These ultras do not have that, so they're not like proper GG elephants. However, ultras chew through hydras, something shocking. And this army for Xanathar is almost double the supply of the army for MangoHawk. So MangoHawk, you know, that was a brilliant counter-strike and very nearly won him the game. Had the hatchery gone down, had you managed to snipe the hatchery, this counter-attack would have been much, much harder. Far fewer larvae for Xanathar to spend. Now, the mutants are going to die pretty quickly to the hydras if they're focused, but hydras just cannot fight this. You know, Roach and Ultralisk, you just can't. You need something that does seriously punchy damage. Hydras, like the burst damage they do is fine against the Ultralisks, so they will focus the Ultralisks down just fine. But they die too quickly to the splash damage from the ultras. So you know, hydras as a choice to kill ultras is okay, so long as you've got the roachy meat shield out the front. Hydras have a longer range than roaches. They can shoot over the top of them. You needed something in front of your hydras to tank. But yeah, ultimately, the key errors in this game were just not keeping an eye on the income, not spending the larva when you had the money to do it, and, you know, allowing yourself to get to the point where you had no gas income effectively, despite having lots of larvae ready to spend and lots of minerals ready to spend. Anyway, it is Xanathar that takes that game. I quite enjoyed that. That was a pretty good ZVZ. Plenty of backward and forward, plenty of attacks, counter attacks, and no kind of absolutely outrageous, oh look, 2 lings have killed a hatch or something on their own. So yeah, that was one of my favorite games actually so far. I think I quite like that. GG.